Hello, and welcome to Q-VUE, a presentation of Peninsula Pride Alliance, serving the gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgendered, and questioning community of the North Olympic Peninsula. I'm your host, Chris Hawley, and on today's show, we're going to talk a little bit about that pride thing, how every year a whole lot of communities all around the world have pride celebrations, pride rallies, pride marches, that sort of thing. Well, it's more than just an excuse for our people to have a party every year. And we'll talk about that in just a little minute. But first, I would like to acknowledge our sponsor, Bonita's Four-Legged Friends. Bonita's Four-Legged Friends is located at 1433 Sims Way in Port Townsend and carries the largest selection of high-quality human-grade pet food on the Olympic Peninsula. They also carry accoutrement for your pet, leashes and collars, beds, toys galore. It's a great place. I urge you to stop by there. Bonita's Four-Legged Friends. What's in your poodle? And now, on to Pride. I put together a little video we're going to show you here on the Pride phenomenon, how things got started, where they've gone over the years, and where they are today. So sit back and enjoy the Pride phenomenon here on Q-VUE.
So, what's all this pride stuff about? Where did it come from? How did it get started? The 1960s was a time of revolution. The civil rights movement was in full swing and people took to the streets to protest the war in Vietnam. It was only a matter of time before gay men and women stood up for their rights as well. The history of gay pride celebrations began in 1969 in Greenwich Village at the Stonewall Inn in a little town called New York City, right about there. At that time, it was common all over the United States for police to raid gay bars. While they were supposedly looking for liquor law or other violations, patrons were routinely arrested and dragged off to jail with no legitimate charges. The names of those arrested were often published in the papers, and many of those people were fired from their jobs as a result. In 1969, bars were about the only places gay men and women could gather in public. Most times when the police would raid a bar, the clientele would try to slip out the back or hide in the corners. Well, on the night of June 27, 1969, everything changed. When police raided the Stonewall Inn, the gay clientele, including the drag queens, having decided they'd had enough, fought back. You can imagine what the papers said the next morning. Sorry, wrong paper. Word quickly spread around the country about the gay people who fought back against the police. The event became known as the Stonewall Rebellion. Although there was a small gay rights movement around the country prior to Stonewall, after 1969 the movement changed, and the first gay pride march in the U.S. took place on June 28, 1970 in New York City and 4 other cities commemorating the Stonewall Rebellion. Today, it's hard to keep up with how many pride celebrations are going on and where they're being held. Here are just a few of the places hosting pride celebrations this year from a recently published list. Albuquerque, Anchorage, Atlanta, Austin, Baltimore, Birmingham, Boise, Boston, Cedar Rapids, Charlotte, Chicago, Cleveland, Columbus, Denver, Detroit, Durham, Flagstaff, Gainesville, Harrisburg, Hartford, Honolulu, Houston, Jersey City, Long Beach, Los Angeles, Louisville, Milwaukee, Minneapolis, Nashville, New Jersey, New York City, Oklahoma, Omaha, Orlando, Palm Springs, Philadelphia, Phoenix, Pittsburgh, Portland, Port Townsend, Providence, Reno, Roanoke, Salt Lake City, San Diego, San Francisco, Santa Fe, Seattle, St. Louis, Tucson, and Washington, D.C. Amsterdam, Bangkok, Bergen, Brussels, Cardiff, Copenhagen, Dublin, Frankfurt, Glasgow, Israel, Jerusalem, Lisbon, Madrid, Manchester, Milan, Montreal, Moscow, Munich, Paris, Port Townsend, Reykjavik, Rome, Sao Paulo, South Africa, Stockholm, Toronto, Tokyo, Turin, Vancouver, and Zagreb. Pretty impressive results for what started out as one too many raids at a gay bar, don't you think?
This used to be done nationally until, I mean, if you remember back in the days when we had a budget surplus and weren't at war, we were doing this as a nation every year. I think in 98, 99, and 2000. And then a lot of things changed. And so this isn't that unusual of a thing to do. You know, we were asked to do this proclamation. It's done in many cities and counties and places around the country. And I guess there's really just not a good reason not to do it. It was a very innocuous thing. Didn't demand anybody to really do anything. In fact, we kind of toned down the language a little bit to make it inclusive. I stuck it up here. Listen, because I find myself talking to people all the time who haven't read it, so I have it here. And all we do is encourage all residents to join in celebrating the spirit and dedication of all vibrant communities and participate in the many activities of Pride Month. So we actually wrote it in a way that everybody could celebrate their own community. If they chose to take that path, if they felt like, oh, this isn't something I can support, well, I'm involved in things I can support, so I'll do that. And now there's some people still didn't see that there was a way out for them, that there was a way that they could just celebrate their lives and their communities without acknowledging the gay community, if that's something they chose not to do. But this proclamation really didn't force anybody to do anything. It has stimulated a lot of conversation, I have to say. I've gotten as many or more comments on this from people as anything we've done in office, which is telling. And it's from across the spectrum. A lot of people really pleased that we did it, really proud that we did it. Some people really upset with us for doing it. I don't know, that's been an interesting experience. It's helped me see a little bit more firsthand what people experience when they experience prejudice, frankly. Because I'm lumped in with the group now, because I'm a supporter of the group, and so it comes my way a little bit now. And that's okay. It really wasn't a hard decision. I had one of the people that was confronting me right after we did it say, was there anything that we could have said to have changed your mind? And I had to say, frankly, no. I thought this through probably about 30 years ago, and I haven't heard anything that would have changed my mind in the past 30 years. I've got experience with family members who are gay, experience with coworkers that I worked with for years as a nurse, helping other people who were gay. A lot of patients that talked about their experiences over time. And so I feel like I'm really, really familiar with the issues and have seen it through other people's eyes a lot. This gives me a little bit more personal experience to understand what it's like to catch that anger that I've gotten from some people. And that fear. Really see people coming from a place of fear a lot of times when they talk about this and they're upset with me. And I think it's important to acknowledge those feelings. Every conversation kind of takes place on two levels. There's a thought level and a feeling level. And you can really miss a lot of communication with people if you don't address the feeling level and then try to understand where those fears are coming from. And that's part of my job, is to listen to everybody. Feel like this is something that is an important part of the job. I've had that challenge. This isn't part of your job. to do these proclamations, to bring these issues forward. And I think it is. I think it very much is. I think it's something we have to acknowledge in the community if it's something that's impacting people. And if people have strong feelings about it, that's something to be talked about and worked with, and not something to be kind of set aside and shuffled out of the way. At the same time, I can say that through the time of the proclamation, we only spent minutes on this issue. I spent hundreds of hours on water issues and sewer issues and budget issues and social service issues. I mean, hundreds of hours. I worked more than full time at this job. And now that we did the proclamation and talking to people about it and the conversations that come up, there's a number of hours I've spent on this now. But not time that I regret spending at all. There's just so many things that they've done. I don't know really where to start. I don't think that's really the important thing, is to say, oh, you've done X, Y, and Z. You brought this business to town. You're promoting this good cause. I think the reason you acknowledge Gay Pride Month really is because it is controversial. I think it's because there are all these feelings in the community. And it is important to have a way of addressing those. When it becomes real benign someday, in the far future maybe not so far, maybe from a historical perspective it'll be interesting, but there might not be the urgency to do this sort of thing. But you protect every group, I think, in your community. There's a lot of different dreams. It's called the City of Dreams here. County of Dreams, even, I'd say. If you look historically, so many people coming here and trying to create new lives and do different things. And part of our job, I think, in government is to make as many of those dreams possible as you can. And I think you try to make room for everybody. I would, if some of the people and some of the groups that have complained about this were being persecuted, I'd be one of the first people to stand up for them.